Lucas here at FastCap. I want to talk to you guys about our PS and PMS stick 16 tape measures and how to install them into your best fence extrusions. So if you're buying a system such as a Bosch system or a Pro 2, it's going to come with the tape measure you select already installed for you. However, if you want to do your own custom system, you can buy just the 64-inch fence extrusions, and then you can buy the tape measure separately, install it yourself however you want. When you buy a tape measure, it is a 16-foot tape measure, and it is actually printed on both sides going in opposite directions. So if this side is going up when I read to the left, if I flip it over, the other side is going up when I read to the right. So what that means is for your 64-inch fence extrusion, that means with your one tape measure, 16-foot tape measure, you can actually do 3 fences, and you can do them however you want. So you could actually do 3 off the left side of your saw, starting at 0 and going all the way up in increments as you go out to the left. With that same one tape measure, you could also do 2 fences off the left side of your saw and 1 fence off the right side of your saw. So if you want to go and install your own tape measure, I'm going to show you how to do it. For this example, I'm going to install a tape measure that goes 2 fences to the left of my saw. So this is going to be my first fence, this will be my second, and my saw would be sitting right here to the right of this fence, okay? Now, with the 2 tape measures, there's 2 different blade styles. So one of them we call PS, that stands for Pro Standard. So on a PS tape, you have nice big numbers, but all you have is standard measurements, inches, okay? On the PMS, that stands for Pro Metric Standard. So on that one, you actually have a standard scale on the top here. Still has nice big numbers like you can see and has all your fractions. But on the bottom, you then have a metric scale. Okay? So those are your 2 options for tape measure. So to do an install here, we're going to do a standard tape on 2 fences here. So the first thing you want to do is you actually want to connect your fences together. That way you can get it to read properly across the gap. So we sell a fence connector that comes with the fences. If you're going to do 2 off one side, you're going to need a fence connector. And then also if you plan to support this in midair, like we do with our Pro system, and you can do this with a Bosch or DeWalt system too, you can actually buy an extra fence on your own and you can make that go further out. You will want to buy an upper hand and probably a tripod that will support this extra fence. And so you know, that should be positioned right underneath the 7-foot mark on your fence if you're doing it that way. And the fence connector plus that tripod will hold this fence floating in midair just fine. Okay, so to install your fence connector, and these are purchased separately too if you're buying 2 fences, you're just going to slide one end of it up in the bottom like this, pop it up in, and there's a little mark that marks center there. And that, if you put that mark right on center, should get your hole lined up just right. If you buy a fence connector yourself, it may not come with holes drilled, and it may come kind of extra tight. So I'll give you an example, because we don't want these to be too loose on you where you don't get a good tight connection. So sometimes when you get a new one, you're gonna go to put it in, and you'll feel that, that's too tight. I can't get that in easily. If that's the case, the best way to do it is to give this edge a little bit of sanding. And so if you look at it, you'll see there's this profile on one side. This is the profile that slides up into the fence. And the edge that you want to sand is going to be the front top edge. And really you just need to break this front corner. So you can take just a sandpaper by hand or an orbital. I'm just going to buzz that edge just a little bit. And I definitely recommend doing a little bit at a time because you don't want to do too much to where it gets too loose. So you're going to slide that in. And there you go, now that popped in really nice. It's tight, I still got to give it a little pop to get it out, but I'm not struggling to get it in. That's how you want it. Once you have it in there, and you're going to obviously want to use that center line up to center, pull it up in there. You can then clamp it in place, and they will come with a provided drill bit. You can take that drill bit, use the hole in your fence, or see the directions for making your own custom hole in the fence, and you will drill a hole right through there. It will come with pins and tethers, and that pin will slide right in. So that's how you set your connector up. Once you have slid it in and put the pin in one fence, then you can go ahead and take your other fence. You're going to slide it over like this, all the way up to be flush with your first fence, and then just pull down on it to get it to slide together like that. Then you can drill your hole in that piece of wood, slide your pin in there. Now your 2 fences are connected. And it's a nice solid connection. You'll see if I unclip it, see these stay together really, really good. But that's why you want it to stay tight, okay? So, slide this back on my workspace here. To install the tape measure, the PS and PMS Stick 16 are going to come with 16 feet of 3/4 inch tape. For this application, to put it in the fence though, you don't actually need to lay tape the entire length. What you want to do is just cut a couple little 1 to 2 inch sections like I have here, and then you can go ahead and take your little sections and stick them down, and you basically just need one section on the left, one section on the right, and one section approximately center. When you put it on the left and right though, it is important to leave yourself a little bit of a gap to the end, and that'll make it a lot easier to slide in and install the tape. Okay, so you can see I have my little squares that I cut stuck down there. The best way to remove the backer is to actually use just any utility knife. And if you kind of slide it in to the side there very lightly, you'll get it so that you can just kind of peel that backer up like that. So you're gonna go ahead and peel all your backers. Now, for installing the tape measure itself, I do recommend that you get a pair of tin snips. It's the best way to cut it nice and clean. Okay, the first thing you want to do is lay your tape measure out across the fences about where you want it, like this. Important thing to note is that you don't actually want the 0 to go all the way to the right side of the fence if you're going to have a saw right here, because of the design of our stop, the little red arrow needs about 2 inches, 1.5 inches to read 0, otherwise the body of the stop is going to slide into your saw. So there's a nice long tail here, and you're going to want to leave some extra on this side if you're using our stop system and you don't have a gap before your saw. Okay, so since these are 64-inch fences, what I'm going to do is, so that I leave 2 inches down there, I'm going to cut at the 62-inch mark. And because I'm doing 2 fences here, I actually want to cut just slightly inside that 62-inch mark, because I'm going to lose a little bit of tape measure in this gap because I don't want it hanging off and getting caught and peeling up. So once I've done that, I'm actually going to cut again on the other side of the 62-inch mark. Okay, so now that I've cut out, and you can see that's like the line itself I cut out, then I can come to my far end down here, and 62 plus 64 inches of fence means I'm going to cut at 126 inches here. I'll just make a cut there. If I was doing a 3rd fence out, same thing. I'd have it connected on here, and I'd cut inside the 126 and then outside. But since this is the end of my run, I should be okay to just cut right on the 126 there, okay? Then to install the tape, what you want to do is, well, first I'm going to want to make sure that my end here gets cut off before I slide it in. So I'm going to line my 62 up just to the end of the fence there, and then just take a pencil, come down to the end here. I'm going to mark right where I want that to be cut off. I recommend giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room so that you don't end up with it hanging off, because if it hangs over the fence, it's likely to get caught and peel up over time. So once I've made my mark where I want it, I'll just cut my excess off there. Then I can take my tape measure. If I just slide it all the way down off this end, I can just start to feed it into the channel here. And this is why I left the tape a little bit over that way, because you don't want it to stick to the tape right there. You kind of want it to bow up and over the tape. So you want to push up from a downward angle, get it over that tape. Once it's slid part way, as long as you're careful not to push where you put the tape, you can take a finger right here and slide it all the way into position easily. So I'm going to slide it in just till that end's just barely inside. And be careful not to push down on any of my pieces of tape. Then I'm going to repeat that process for the fence on the other side. So I'll slide this in from the other side. And then the important part is, since I'm doing 2 fences in a row, I need this measurement to be correct across my gap. So you can take a little piece of the tape that you cut off, and it doesn't really matter, you know, where you're at on the measurement. You're just trying to make sure that it reads properly across the gap. So I'm going to lay my tape measure on there, and then I think it's easiest to see if you close one eye. You just want to slide these around until you're 100% sure that the left side and the right side both line up perfectly to the tape measure. So if you look right there, my 101's perfectly in line with my 61, and my 99's perfectly in line with my 63. And looking at all the little hash marks, it looks like they all match up just right. So now I should be good. So I'm gonna hold down, careful not to move it, and find where I put that piece of tape, massage down into the tape to activate it. And I'll work my way down, find that next piece of tape, and you'll feel it through the tape measure. Just massage on all those pieces of tape there. That one's stuck in. Now I'll push down here, massage on that piece of tape, work my way down, massage all these down. And now that I did that, you'll see no matter how hard I try to move this, it is stuck. All you need is those 3 little pieces and it's not going anywhere. So that's how you install the tape. And then with that end I cut off, like I said, the other side reads the other direction. So if I want to go ahead and install this on a fence that goes off the other side of my saw, you can see that the left starts at 0. So if I take this over here, I can install this on my fence over here. So there's one tape measure that'll do 3 pieces of fence. And this would be off the right, or flipped over, I can continue off the left from the 126 where I cut it at, and it would keep going up. That's how you install a tape measure in your best fence system.